Welcome to Bear Cravings. Today my guest is Jess from Sea Shepherd, and Jess was from the Sam Simon Operation Relentless one, and I was on the Steve Irwin. And Jess today is going to show us her favourite dish, which is
Brussels sprout salad.
Brussels sprout salad.
Brussels sprout salad is really awesome because I think a lot of people, when they cook Brussels sprouts, they don't actually know what to do with them. A lot of people just boil them, they steam them, and they get the same old dish all the time. But I went somewhere in the States to this restaurant, and they were chopping up Brussels sprouts into salad leaves, which is really cool. And I tried to create a variation of that recipe, which is how I came to this. So
I'll be honest, when I was a kid, my mum used to make us eat these, and they were steamed, and they were awful. And when you said you were doing Brussels sprouts, I was like, we must have evolved then from 20 years ago. But yeah, so go ahead.
I know, yeah. Well, it's really different because it's not something you would think to use traditionally as a salad leaf. Usually you just use your normal lettuce, romaine, whatever, spinach. But when you chop these guys up and you separate them out, you realize, well, it's actually great salad material. So you don't have to make it predominantly with Brussels sprouts, but you can mix other things in if you want. I think it's great just with these guys. So.
And what were you saying? You were saying before about how when you put it in the blender, what happens?
Yeah. So if you shred Brussels sprouts, sometimes they come out tasting like horseradish if you cook them. So if you do make this salad and it's tasting like horseradish, you're doing something wrong. It's not supposed to taste like that at all.
So it's just a chop.
Yep, just a chop. So you hold it that way and you just go down. And obviously this little butt here, we don't want to keep that. And you do that with all of them. So it's pretty quick.
So while you're doing that chopping away, can you tell me how you got into Sea Shepherd and your journey to veganism, and what made you change and what made you want to do a different lifestyle to what you're doing?
So when I first joined Sea Shepherd, I was just around the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia, and they have all these night markets set up all down the road, down the Esplanade near the ocean. And I saw a stall, and I saw this gigantic humpback whale coming out of the ocean, and it said, "Whales worth watching, worth saving." And that was in 2010, so quite a while now. And I remember speaking to the woman there who had a stall, and she was talking to me about how this group went down to Antarctica to protect these whales. And so I kind of knew that there was this poaching going on, and it was something I didn't agree with. So I bought a t-shirt, and I said, well, can I volunteer? And then from then on out, I actually was on the stalls with them. And this is probably sort of around the start of Sea Shepherd Australia. When I first joined, I had to apply to the United States, but now obviously we have all these amazing chapters all over the country. And it's sort of evolved from there. And when I went to the ships, it was kind of on accident. I never anticipated that I would go on a campaign or that I would join a ship. I just sort of showed up one day and said, I'm here for a few weeks, and they asked me to move on. So and I guess the rest is history. I ended up on a few campaigns since then. Never looked back.
That's awesome. And what about your journey into veganism? What made you change there?
So I think quite a number of years ago, I was a vegetarian. When I grew up, my mom was actually a vegetarian, so we weren't allowed to eat seafood in the house. We were allowed to eat other things like pork and beef and chicken, but no seafood. And sort of a lot of our diet was kind of restricted because my mom was a vegetarian. She sort of had limits.
So she was vegetarian, but you guys weren't? Okay, right, but seafood was off.
Yep, right, seafood was totally off. So I had never had it before. And I was vegetarian, and it was when I met one of our captains, Peter. He kind of said to me once, well, are you vegan? And I didn't really know much about it. And I sort of started thinking about it more and more because I really do care about animals and obviously the impact of, I guess, animal consumption on our environment. And through being on the ships and actually being around a vegan galley and having vegan meals all the time.
Jess, so what's the next step after we've sauteed all your Brussels sprouts? What do we do now?
So actually, I like to do this while the Brussels sprouts are cooking because it sort of saves you time. Once you get your Brussels sprouts ready, you chuck them in the pan, you let them cook for just a couple minutes, and in that time, you have enough time to just quickly chop up the dried cranberries and the walnuts. Obviously, dried cranberries do have a high sugar content, so some people like to get ones that are lighter in sugar. I'm not really sure how they
can do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
Is that like GMO or something?
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I don't do that. So yeah, being a new
sugar cranberry.
Yeah, I know.
That's just
It's
bizarre.
strange.
Sorry.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, the fact that we're using dried cranberries means the salad is going to be a bit sweet. So I guess sort of accommodate that. If you're putting it as a side dish on something else, you'll know that this is actually going to have quite a sweet component to it. Yeah. And cranberries are pretty close to my heart because they actually are native to where I'm from in New England, in Massachusetts. I grew up and we had cranberry bogs everywhere. So
wow.
I really
there you go.
I dig putting them in food because it's like a little taste of home.
Right. So
Yeah.
you just
Do you want me to mince them?
yeah.
Yeah. So there's no perfect science to this, just roughly chopping them is fine. I like to do them together because it just saves time. I'd say if you're using about 1 kilogram of Brussels sprouts, maybe about a half a cup of each of these guys. And you just chop them and keep in mind that they're just going to be in a salad, you know? So that should give you a good indication. You don't want a gigantic clump
It's a
of
little
walnut.
tasty bite.
Yeah. So the next bit is to make a dressing. This is pretty easy balsamic vinaigrette kind of dressing. Use balsamic vinegar of your choosing, and then just a splash of extra virgin olive oil. Yeah, and some sugar as well. So this is going to be predominantly balsamic vinegar with just a splash of the olive oil, because the olive oil can really quickly kind of overpower it. And again,
Sorry, so you've got extra virgin and plain olive oil here, so you use both these?
Yep. So you use normal olive oil for frying, and you use extra virgin olive oil for dressing. And you just want to use a little bit of splash of raw sugar in there. So again, just a reminder, just as you can see, it would obviously be making this salad kind of sweet because there's a bit of sugar in there. And then just a splash of this.
And that's it.
Yeah. So this is really good. I really like making a balsamic vinaigrette kind of dressing on quite a few salads. It goes really well. I don't really buy salad dressing anymore.
No.
It's so easy. You just make it yourself.
This is all, when I do salads, any kind of salads I do, the only dressing I like is balsamic vinegar and olive oil. And you can also use the balsamic vinegar glaze.
Oh, yeah.
I use that as well,
Yeah, that's
which
good.
with olive oil. I love it. And some lemon on top.
Yep.
That's all I ever use.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Yeah, so it's as simple as that, and most people would have that stuff in their cupboard.
We've got a frying pan here, we've got it on low heat with some olive oil, and we've just put like half of the Brussels sprouts in there,
Yep.
and we're just letting it cook. You can hear it starting to sizzle up
Yep.
now, so what's
Yeah.
the next step?
So obviously you want to toss it around. This salad cooks really, really quickly, so I've just turned up the heat because you basically want it to start frying, and once it starts frying, it's only in here for a couple minutes. It's just a super fast process. You don't want it to come out all soggy and soft. You still want them to have a bit of that crunch in there.
Okay, so that's all done now, all cooked, so what's
Yep.
the next step?
So the next step, I like to do this in the pan. I think it's really easy. You just throw your nuts and your cranberries straight
And-
into the pan.
Do you have to use walnuts, or can you use any kind of nut?
I've never tried another one, but I suppose that you could. I'm not really sure how that would go, but if you want to be adventurous in your nut selection, then now at the point that we're adding these guys in, the heat is actually off because you're not cooking them at all.
Right.
You're just sort of dispersing them throughout. And yeah. And you sort of see, you just get this little autumn salad going on here.
Yeah. Okay, Jess, so we've got it all here in this beautiful bowl,
Yep.
ready to go to the next step.
Yeah, so next step is just adding in your dressing, give it a little mix if it's been sitting there. And yeah, just pour it in and mix it up.
So you would eat this just as a meal on its own, or with accompanying something else?
I would, because I love it. So I'll probably eat this once a week. I think it's just really delicious. But I can imagine a lot of people would probably want something else with it because, you know, I think a lot of people like sort of bread or something like that, or
Yeah.
maybe you can complement it with pasta or something. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Time to try. There goes the bling. Someone did put the phone on silent. Oh wow. It's definitely don't look at me like that. It's definitely with the vinegar dressing. And the cranberry. Gee, that's good.
I'm glad you liked it.
And this is Nick. What do you think, Nick?
Rad.
2 thumbs up.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Brussels sprout salad. I would never have thought it. It's actually really delicious. Easy, easy, easy to make. Thank you, Jess, for coming on my show.
Thanks, hon.
Awesome. Thank you, Hon. Yay. Bear cravings. Thank you. Today we've got a dish, broccoli salad. So Jess is going to show us her favourite dish, broccoli salad. Oh, broccoli! Mum did that too, cauliflower, yeah.
There's no broccoli.